Good morning, everyone. This is Roger Thunder with the Red Road channel on YouTube. Welcome. Welcome to all my new subscribers as well. This is Roger Thunder, and hopefully I'm your favorite storyteller, wisdom keeper, and shaman in the tradition of the indigenous peoples of Turtle Island, which was later to become known as America, unfortunately. But today I'm going to do a video on the Cheyenne and the Cheyenne dog soldier, or the dogmen of the Cheyenne tribe. So without further ado, let us jump right into the pictorial presentation along with my story of these people. I'll start off with this photo, which is the uniform of the dog soldier or dogmen in the Cheyenne Nation. Let me say a word. I'm just doing this off the top of my head, and I have no notes, and I do everything through a storytelling procedure. So keep that in mind as I jump around to the different depictions and photographs and illustrations. So again, we have this initial picture, which is the dogman in his uniform. And I say uniform because that's exactly what it is. Now let me say a word about the Cheyenne people in general. The Cheyenne tribe, which originated in the Algonquin Nation and was spread across the northeast and eventually made their way to the plains. Their name means those who speak red, those who speak red. Cheyenne means those who speak red. What does that mean? Well, red in Lakota and the Cheyenne traditions stood for holy, or Wakan. Wakan. W-A-K-A-N. Holy, or those who speak holy and those who speak true. The Cheyenne people had a very close relationship with the Lakota people. They were allies. They had intermarriage. They shared many things. And so the Lakota and the Cheyenne people were almost as one unit. Let's put it this way, they were very close. Having said that, let's jump right into the dog soldier or the dogman. This is a depiction of a dogman sitting in his uniform. And I say uniform because if you see these people in normal, let's say everyday life, and I will get to some photographs of that in a minute, you will see that they did not always dress, they didn't walk around all day in this uniform or this regalia or this whatever you want to call it. This was specific to when they were getting ready to go into battle. And what we have here, this is all functional. It's all for a reason. So let's take a look at the feathers or the headdress on this uniform. Feathers were always a spiritual connection to the creative source. Now in Cheyenne, sometimes this creative source was also referred to as the Great Prophet, but I'll get into that later. In the headdress here, are many, many feathers, and you have hawk feathers back here. You can see the reddish, red-tailed hawk feather. And then you have numerous other feathers, turkey, raven, all the birds to them were spiritual, had a strong meaning. Now, as far as functionality, I should say, I hope I said that right. As far as the function, let's put it that way, of the headdress, this also was kind of like an antenna. Not only did it connect you to Great Spirit, but it also, when the wind blew, you could see exactly as a warrior which way and which direction, and almost what the speed of the wind was and that type of thing, just by wearing this headdress. It was almost like let's say if you had a SWAT team today and they had on the helmets and the microphones and the weapons. This is the forerunner, if you will, of that function, or that dress, or that costume, or that whatever you want to call it. I like to call it the warrior gear, or the uniform for battle. And of course they had their weapons as well, whether it be a firearm or a bow and arrow or a lance or a knife or a tomahawk. They had all these, and they also had some protective breastplates made out of bone, and they had everything they needed. Their spiritual objects that they wore around their neck and that type thing. But they were geared up for battle with this uniform. And there were many, many battles. Now let me go into, just for a minute here, let me pop back in the picture and discuss with you the four societies, the four main societies, and the hierarchy of the societies, and let's say the structure of the Cheyenne situation. So you had, at the top, you had this Council of 44. It was known as the Council of 44, and they were chiefs, which kind of oversaw the goings on and the actions and the the situations that the strategy and all that stuff that the dogmen would need. All right, so you actually had four warrior societies. There was actually probably more than four, but you had four warrior societies, and they were the Fox Clan, or the Fox Lodge. Then you had the Chief's Lodge. Then you had the Horn Scrapers Lodge, and then you had the Dogmen. These were the four lodges or societies underneath the Council of 44, which again was a type of governing body, let's say. And the Fox clan was mostly known for flank protection and protecting the perimeter of the camp. The chiefs were known for, again, being the governing council, or the governing body, or the governing chiefs that kind of directed everything. Then you had the Horn Scrapers, which were strategists, and the strategists took care of all the strategies that are involved in a battle, or let's say an attack on the enemy. So that's basically how it was broken down. Let's go to another photo here that looks like an archival photo of a dog man, and you could see he is, and I'm going to show you a colorized picture of this next, but I just wanted to show you this one real quick to show you where the colorized photo came from. But let me go to the colorized photo now real quick. This is a colorized photo of the one I just showed you, which is brings out a lot of the features a little bit better than the previous photo. But you could see they were well armed. I mean, this guy looks like he's got a revolver and a cartridge belt. And of course they always have their lances and bow and arrows. And obviously this is a very fierce warrior. You gotta love the way they painted their faces and their outfits to probably strike fear into the enemy. They were a courageous, very courageous, and some of the most fierce warriors ever known. Now you see back here he has a red, looks like a sash or a scarf. And this was associated with their battle. Now, let me explain this a minute. They would wear this scarf over their right shoulder, I believe it was. And as they went into battle against whatever enemy it was, if they were on the ground, they would take this sash or this scarf and stake it into the ground while it was still around their body. They would tie it to their body and stake it to the ground so that they gave no quarter and no inches or no territory. When they fought, they stood there, they were staked there, and they didn't give an inch unto death. If the enemy was coming in, they stood there and they took out a whole lot of the enemy, just one guy, because again, they were the most fearsome warriors probably ever known. I mean, in battles around the world. In history, let's put it that way. And especially the history of the indigenous people of this land. I would compare them closely to the Apache warrior, who I have great regard for. But they wouldn't give any ground if they staked themselves there, and they would die right there where they staked themselves. Period. End of story. And usually they were very, very successful, let's put it that way, in their warriorship. And this had to be used many times. In fact, one of the times that it was used was at the Sand Creek Massacre, after the Sand Creek Massacre, in retaliation for that incident, which I talked about in previous videos on Crazy Horse, the Crazy Horse series, and other earlier videos that you might want to review. Here's another depiction of a dog soldier in color. Let me say a little bit about the what the dog soldier did in regards to the tribal encampment or the community as a whole. They were considered not only the warriors, not only did they go out on battles and protective protection for the tribe and wars against the enemies or whatever, but they also were the policemen of the community. And you wouldn't think of them as like the policemen we have today so much, although there might have been some similarities, but this was way beyond what we have today. Now, when they policed the community, they also had a instrument or weapon that they would use, and it was like a whip, right? I wouldn't say it was a bullwhip. It was more like probably three strand, just a short whip that could inflict pain. Now, what they did is they lived by a code of natural law, okay? And natural law meant that you didn't harm others, that you lived in harmony with others in the tribe. And, of course, there were things that arose within the tribe, just like any group of people, maybe domestic quarrels, or somebody owed somebody some goods or furs, or a trade what didn't go well, or there could have been arguments between two families. Any number of things arose in their society, but they didn't tolerate it for 1 minute. Everything was according to natural law, not harming others, and only taking retaliation if people brought harm to you, and basically living according to the laws of nature and the goodness of nature, and living in oneness with nature, and being kind and very compassionate to their fellow tribesmen, and always offering services when in need, that type of thing. Those type of laws, virtues, respect, honor, courage, compassion, perseverance, love. They really did live by these principles, and they wouldn't tolerate people in the camp that weren't walking the red road or speaking with the red voice, which again means the holy voice or the holy road. And so if things got out of line, they were often called in by the members of the tribe to settle things. And if somebody had done something that was kind of outside these laws, or violated these laws, they would punish them with a whip. They might whip them, and it was more to humiliate than it was to hurt or harm. Or they might punish a person by taking a knife and cutting a big hole in their teepee, or having them have to repair it, or any number of things like that. But basically what these people were the policemen. And there were many secret societies, in these tribes. And again, I mentioned them earlier: the fox, the chiefs, the horn scrapers, and the dogmen. This played an important, very, very important, and they also had their high up people on the totem pole, so to speak. People like Bull Bear, which I'll show you a picture of in a minute, and others that were basically heads of the dogmen, or heads of the Fox Society, and that type thing. And above them, there was a guy named Sweet Medicine, and he was a prophet, and disseminated downloads from Great Spirit to them in their what they should do in their actions. I think I should tell you a little story about the dogmen, which probably I should have done earlier, but I'm going to tell you a little story about how that all came about. I'll put this picture up as I talk about the story. The tradition, the mythology, or is it mythology, or is it real? I like this photo. It's got the medicine wheel, down here on his right arm, or his right cuff, let's say. You got yellow, red, black, and white, the spirits of the four directions. Sapa, black, white, Ogargaska, yellow, Gi, and red, Luta. Spirits of the four directions, that's in Lakota. Their languages were much the same. But let me tell you this story about how it all began. So the legend goes, okay, that there was a man who lived in a village, and he was a medicine man. And he had a thought one day as to, or a dream or a vision, that he should form a group of people to defend the tribe, a warrior society. And so he would walk around the village and he would talk to different people and try to elicit their support, or maybe get young braves to join his cause or his idea. And as he walked around, people seemed complacent. They were happy with their life. There was nothing going on. They seemed like they were complacent as to his dream or his vision. And as he walked around the camp, he noticed that dogs started following him around. He'd go by a teepee and the dog would come out and it would follow him. He'd go by another one, or he'd walk around the center of the campfire, or just around the camp in general. And as he was walking, he was noticing more and more and more that there were a bunch of dogs that were following him. Well, he decided to go outside the camp and take a walk in nature, or walk in the trees, to do some reflection and some thinking about his idea and why he wasn't getting any response. And these dogs, as he went out there, these dogs followed him to this little clearing that he happened to find. And as he sat in prayer and meditation to Great Spirit, it was like a lodge formed around him, or a dome, or some kind of lodge. All of a sudden was formed around him in his presence. Now the dogs encircled the lodge. They all went around and they encircled the lodge, and at some point they went into the lodge. And as the dogs went into the lodge, they shape-shifted into the form of a dog soldier, or a soldier, which was the exact vision that this man had. And so while he was in the lodge, he also got downloads or information through prayer and supplication and all that type of thing. He got information as to what the purpose of the dog soldier and the warrior societies and all of this stuff, he got the intel, he got the download, and he passed this on to the dogs, or those that had shapeshifted into the dog soldier. He passed this information on that was given to him. Now, at some point, as he got up, all this stuff kind of not faded away, but was no longer existent, and he walked into the camp, back into the camp, and when he did, the whole attitude of everybody in the tribe had changed, and a lot of the braves and a lot of the people were coming out and saying that, declaring themselves as dog men or dog soldiers. And there was much increased support from the people of the tribe. So that's how it all came about, the first vision, and you can look at that in any number of ways. And this also had to do with, in fact, that may have been sweet medicine, or sweet medicine, the prophet came from that. And you got to remember that when they get these downloads that I talk about, it's all from the great prophet. Okay, that was their name, the great prophet. Or it could have been Wakan Tonka or Tunkashila. And the spirits, again, of the four directions, just like he has on his sleeve here. And then again, you see the feathers very prominent, and the uniform and the protection here. The breastplate made of bones, probably buffalo, I would think. And a lot of them probably could have been made of eagle bones too. And they also had a whistle, all right? They always wore a whistle, and it was an eagle bone whistle, which, if you have ever heard it, is a very high-pitched sound. Here is another picture of a Cheyenne, most likely a dog soldier. But see, when these people were in everyday life, they dressed more like this. They dressed more in the regular garb of the tribe, the regular clothing. The reason I enclose this picture is because also there was a bowstring society as well. I just included the main four, but there were offshoots and things of that nature, the bowstring society being one of them, and probably many more as well. But again, you see the feathers here that are very prominent. This looks like an eagle feather, and the head dressing up here, garb, the braids, things of that nature. Everything had a meaning. Everything had a very spiritual meaning to them, and a connection to Great Spirit. Even the colors on the bow, everything. Here's another picture that I thought I would incorporate into this video. You gotta know they started young, don't you? You gotta know they started young. And even with the headdress and he's holding a firearm here. This is an old weapon. I mean, an old picture, so you can't really see like you really should. But look at the look on this kid's face. Is he a man already, you think? Started him young. You know, there was a tradition in the tribes that a young man would stay with his mother until a certain age. And I think it may have varied in different tribes what the age was. Some tribes it could have been as young as 10, or others it may have been more like when reaching the age of puberty or that type thing. But at that point, when they reached that age, the child was basically taken away from the mother and spent most of the time with the father, because the earlier years had all been nurturing and coddling and providing for that goddess energy, that beautiful nurturing, giving energy, the yin energy. But at some point, the child was given over to the father, and sometimes couldn't even see the mother for a long period of time, so that the child would be indoctrinated, because it was a boy, would be indoctrinated into the warrior societies, or to learn how to hunt and provide for the rest of the tribe. Hunter, gatherer, warrior. Hunter, gatherer, warrior. That's what was instilled. And especially the protection of the tribe. Very, very important. I'm going to jump to this picture right now because I want to use these characters in a story that I'm going to tell you that happened back then. This is a picture of Little Coyote, or Little Wolf, on the left here. And this is Morning Star on the right. I don't know why this has come. There we go. This is Morning Star on the right. And you'll notice they have crosses here, and you're like, why do they have crosses? Isn't that a Christian emblem? Well, no. Crosses have been around in different forms, even swastikas in different forms, way before they were used in modern times, okay? So no, he's not wearing a big cross around his neck. That's the gone dancers, and the Apache gone dancers had these on their headdresses as well. So that's why they didn't have any big problem when the white man came in with like the cross in general. It was the teachings behind it that were insidious and bothered them. But anyway, this is Little Coyote, or Little Wolf, and he was involved in this incident where him and a guy named Roman Nose had a meeting or a powwow with a blue coat or a long knife or a government person in regards to, let's say, a peace parley or a powwow or something of that nature. And along with this person was another person, I do believe, and that would be this person. This person is Bull Bear. Bull Bear. Gotta love the looks on these people's faces, don't you? Nothing like it, really. Sense of serenity, sense of courage, sense of calm, sense of pride, sense of stoicism, I would say. Anyway, Bull Bear here was with Little Coyote and Roman Nose. Now, I can't remember exactly which one it was that, well, I'll get to that in a minute. Roman Nose was talking to the blue coat general or whatever he was, and the general was saying, accusing him of being warring and wanting war. And Roman Nose was the kind of guy that didn't really take a lot of guff from anybody. And he was insulted when the general told him that. He goes, would I be standing, if I was, he goes, you wouldn't be standing here, or if I was standing this close to you, you would know whether I was at war or not. Implicating the fact that he wouldn't be standing there. The general would have already been dead. And he actually, this Roman Nose, not Bull Bear here. I'm going to leave Bull Bear up here though. Roman Nose went for his knife, was going to make short work of this general. He was that close to him, and Bull Bear stopped him. And I think that Little Wolf could have been involved in that as well. And so basically his theory, and this was a real high up guy in the Dogman. Again, you see, he's not in his Dogman uniform. Excuse me. He's not in his Dogman uniform. He's in regular, in this photo. He's even got white man clothes on. This must have been later. But they were basically just in their regular clothes until they went into war, and then that's when they put on all that garb. So anyway, he saved the day. when he held back Roman nose from taking this general out so that they could withdraw into council and think about how they wanted to deal with the situation. Now, I mentioned earlier that I talked about the Sand Creek Massacre and Black Kettle in one of my previous videos. Of the Cheyenne people, Colonel Shivington coming in and murdering and doing mutilation of the bodies, wearing it on their uniforms, all that stuff. That was a big incident in the Cheyenne peoples. And you might want to check one of my previous videos on that. But that was a big incident in the Cheyenne people, and at that incident, the dog soldiers had kind of gone off into the wilderness, and the camp was left alone. But when they got wind of it, boy, did they sure wreak havoc in several different battles that followed that. Several different battles that followed that Sand Creek Massacre. So anyway, this is Bull Bear. This was that incident of stopping, let's say, an outbreak right then and there, an angry outbreak. These people basically wanted peace. Okay, the incursion came from the white man and the white eyes and the blue coats and the long knives. Were always making incursions and trouble and killing Indians, and the only good Indian was a dead Indian and that type of thing, so they were up against it. Here's another photo I like of a dog man on a rock outcropping here. These people, again, were the supreme warrior, the supreme lookouts, just amazing warriors, amazing people in general, always looking out for the tribe, always protecting the tribe within and without. Very, very much concerned about their people and what was happening to them. Here's another colorized photo of a warrior of that time, whose name slips me at the moment, and I apologize to you, my brother. I think his name ended in Bull as well. You know, there were a lot of Bulls names with the word bull, or the animal bull in it. Sitting Bull, one Bull, Bull Bear. That seemed to be a handle that they liked, which indicated strength, you know. And then you got, this is an actual photo, you got the picture of a tomahawk, kind of a mean looking instrument there, and then you got the cross again, just like I mentioned earlier about the gone dancers, and just a symbol that they recognized. You gotta love the look in these people's faces, that's all I gotta say, because again, it showed courage, stoicism, resolve, and a sense of spirituality as well. Very colorful people. Again, you have the eagle feather here, which a lot of times was given to a warrior for a certain accomplishment on the field of battle, that type thing. And this is, to me, just a depiction of what the essence of a warrior is. It looks like he has the scarf that I mentioned earlier over his right shoulder, where they staked themselves to the ground and fought to the death. Here is another depiction of a dog soldier. They all had a little bit different markings that they used, and again, they all had meanings, and again, you have the feathers here. just another depiction, a colorized depiction of the dog soldier. So that about sums up a short video on the dog soldier. But I would like to talk a little bit more about, you remember I mentioned at the beginning of this video that Cheyenne meant speaking red, okay, or to speak red. And what that means is speaking the truth and speaking in a holy manner or a wakan manner. And so that is exactly what this channel is all about, let's say, a dissemination of information about the indigenous people of this land is the main theme. And the soldiers, the dog soldiers and the warriors and the different lodges and groups and stories and everything about the history. And this inspired me to form a group called the Red Road Circle, which I want to tell you about now. Here we have a depiction of, or the insignia of the Red Road Prayer Circle. But this circle, just like on the guy's uniform, has the red, the yellow, the white, and the black. Black is Sapa, meaning the west. Yellow is Ki, meaning the east. The north is red, Luta, and the south is Ogaga Ska. This is the medicine wheel. But this isn't just a prayer circle. When I speak of prayer, I'm talking about prayer to the Great Spirit, or connection to. And to walk the red road means to walk in a holy way or a spiritual way, and a way of the natural law and the indigenous people. So I have formed this circle, and this is also a warrior society. Now, if you want to look at it as actual warriors or spiritual warriors, but what it is meant to do is perpetuate, let's say, the idea of the earlier societies, the Dogmen, the Fox Society, the Bowstring Society, in a sort of tribal form of today. And you are invited to join this circle at no charge. And that's easily done by just emailing me and asking and telling a little bit about yourself and why you gravitate towards this type of teaching and so forth and so on. Be glad to add you to it. And in order to do that, in order for me to do that, you should go to a sister channel, or let's say, a sister channel or sister website to this channel, the Red Road, spiritofcrazyhorse.com. And I'll put a link in the show notes below and also in the comment section. And there is also, when you go to spiritofcrazyhorse.com, there is a donate button to the right. This is independent journalism. This is my purpose, and this is also my profession. This is the way I make ends meet. So if you wish to support the indigenous people and dissemination about the indigenous people and more videos like this, donations are always appreciated. Again, go to spiritofcrazyhorse.com. And within any kind of donation of $10 or more, I will send you a PDF copy of one of my 2 books, the award-winning Listen to the Wind, or the other one, Emergence, and also I have a book on the Merkaba meditation. So I appreciate your support, and if you do that, you will get one of the books. So I guess that ends the video for today. I ask that you like the video and subscribe to this channel and pass on the information about this channel. Got a lot of new subscribers. Also, yes, let me mention at this point, to please join my Substack blog or page, Substack page, which I will leave also in the show notes below and also in the commentary section. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I could have done a much longer one, and I will be touching from time to time. I like to go back and review things, or I might do other videos like I have done on the Spirit of Crazy Horse, or just Chief Crazy Horse in general, and the Apache people, and this will continue on. There are endless stories and endless adventures, and I will present it in my fashion as a wisdom keeper and story keeper and storyteller. Thank you for being here. This is Roger Thunder saying Wopila Aho.